Dr. Min-Soo Park's breathing apparatus hissed softly as he floated through the twisted metal corridors of the alien derelict. The ship had been drifting in the void for over 10,000 years, its hull scarred by cosmic radiation and micrometeorite impacts, yet something deep within its core still pulsed with life. "This is incredible," Min-Soo whispered, his helmet light cutting through the darkness. The walls around him weren't made of any metal he recognized. Instead, they seemed to shift and shimmer, as if existing in multiple states at once. His scanner readings were going crazy, detecting energy signatures that shouldn't be possible. Behind him, technician Dong-Hyun Kim struggled to keep up, his bulky equipment pack making navigation through the debris field challenging. "Doctor, are you sure this is safe? My radiation detector is picking up some weird readings." Min-Soo paused at what appeared to be the ship's central chamber. The room was massive, easily the size of a football field, with crystalline structures jutting from every surface. Each crystal pulsed with a soft blue light, creating patterns that seemed to dance across the walls. "Safe? Dong-Hyun, we're looking at technology that could revolutionize everything we know about physics." The crystals weren't just glowing randomly. As Min-Soo watched, he realized they were processing information, running calculations at speeds that made quantum computers look like pocket calculators. His hands trembled as he attached sensors to the nearest crystal formation. "Captain Lee, you need to see this," Min-Soo called out, his voice crackling through the comm system as electromagnetic interference played havoc with their equipment. Captain Hai-Jin Lee was reviewing navigation charts when the call came through. She'd been a deep space explorer for 15 years, but this mission felt different. The derelict had appeared on their sensors 3 days ago, broadcasting a faint signal that seemed to be calling to them. Now, as she pushed off from the command console and glided toward the airlock, she wondered if they'd stumbled onto something bigger than they could handle. The journey to the alien ship took 20 minutes in the shuttle. As they approached, Lee couldn't help but admire the vessel's design. Despite its age and damage, there was an elegance to its construction that human engineers could only dream of achieving. The ship was roughly triangular, with flowing curves that seemed to bend light around them. "Whatever these aliens were," she muttered, "they were artists as much as engineers." Inside the derelict, Min-Soo was practically vibrating with excitement. The quantum matrices he'd discovered were displaying impossible readings. The technology didn't just store energy or process information. It was somehow locking weapon systems across multiple dimensional states, making them exist everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. "Look at this," he said, pulling up holographic displays that made the air shimmer. "These weapon systems don't fire projectiles or energy beams. They fire probability itself. A target hit by this technology doesn't just get destroyed in our reality. It gets erased from every possible version of reality." Lee stared at the readings, her military training helping her grasp the implications immediately. "You're telling me this is a weapon that doesn't just kill you, it makes it so you never existed at all." "Exactly. And the power requirements are surprisingly low because they're drawing energy from parallel dimensions." Min-Soo's voice was filled with wonder and terror in equal measure. "Captain, whoever built this ship could have conquered the entire galaxy. The question is, why didn't they?" As they worked to download the alien database, neither human realized their activities were being monitored. The energy signatures from their scans were rippling across subspace, detected by sensor networks spanning dozens of star systems. On the distant world of Kepler Prime, a crystalline city stretched toward purple skies. Elder Counselor Vextar's multiple eyes studied the incoming data with growing alarm. His species, the Zephyrians, had maintained galactic peace through careful diplomatic balance for 3 millennia. They were the mediators, the peacekeepers who prevented younger races from destroying themselves and others. The readings from human space made his tentacles writhe with anxiety. The energy signatures matched ancient records from the Void War, a conflict so devastating that entire star systems had been erased from existence. The weapons used in that war had been banned, their technology scattered and hidden across the galaxy. "Aid Krental," Vextar's voice resonated through harmonic frequencies that could shatter glass. "Summon the Inner Council immediately. The Humans have found Void War technology. His aide, a younger Zephyrian with silver-tipped tentacles, recoiled in shock. Surely that's impossible, Elder. The architects sealed all Void War artifacts eons ago. Apparently not all of them. Vextar turned to gaze out at the sprawling city below, where millions of beings from hundreds of species lived in harmony. If the humans learn to control that technology, they won't just threaten the balance of power. They could accidentally destroy reality itself. Back on the derelict, Min Su and his team continued their work, unaware that their discovery had already set galactic politics into motion. The quantum matrices pulsed brighter as human technology interfaced with alien systems, creating something neither species had intended, something that would change everything. The lunar shipyards had never seen anything like it. Admiral Ji-hoon, Kim stood on the observation deck, watching thousands of workers swarm over the skeletal frame of humanity's most ambitious project. The ship was massive beyond anything humans had ever built, stretching 2 full kilometers from its pointed bow to the cluster of quantum engines at its stern. "Sir, the Parliament is demanding another progress report," his aide, Lieutenant Yun-ho Park, said nervously. "They're still not happy about the budget overruns." Ji-hoon's jaw tightened. The politicians back on Earth were scared, and scared politicians made dangerous decisions. Half of them wanted to scrap the project entirely, claiming it was too expensive and too risky. The other half wanted to build a dozen more ships immediately, without understanding the complexity of what they were attempting. "Tell them the TDS inevitability will be ready when it's ready," he replied. "We're not building a cargo hauler here. We're building something that could save or damn our entire species." Down in the construction bays, engineer Soo-Jin Nam was having the worst day of her career. The alien quantum technology refused to play nice with human systems. Every time she thought she'd solved one compatibility issue, 3 more would pop up. Her team had been working 18-hour shifts for weeks, surviving on coffee and determination. "The quantum matrix is fluctuating again," reported her assistant, technician Min Jae Choi, his face pale with exhaustion. "The neural interface keeps rejecting the connection protocols." Soo-Jin wiped sweat from her forehead and dove back into the tangle of cables and crystalline structures. The alien technology was beautiful in its complexity, but it was also completely alien. Human brains worked differently than whatever species had built the original ship, and bridging that gap was like trying to teach a dolphin to speak Korean. "Wait," she said suddenly, staring at the readings on her tablet. "What if we're thinking about this backwards? We've been trying to make the alien tech work like our computers, but what if we make our computers work like the alien tech?" She began rerouting connections, letting human intuition guide the process rather than rigid programming. To her amazement, the quantum locks responded immediately. The crystals pulsed brighter, and for the first time in weeks, all the readings were in the green. "That's impossible," Min Jae breathed, watching the displays. "Human neural patterns shouldn't be compatible with quantum phase technology." "Maybe that's exactly why it works," Soo-Jin said with a tired smile. "Maybe we're chaotic enough to handle chaos itself." The ship's AI, designated Oracle, came online during the 3rd month of construction. Unlike traditional artificial intelligence, Oracle wasn't programmed in any conventional sense. Instead, it grew from the intersection of human creativity and alien quantum logic, developing its own unique way of processing information. Oracle, run tactical analysis on conventional fleet engagement scenarios, Admiral Ji-hoon commanded during one of his daily inspections. The AI's response was immediate and unsettling. "Conventional tactics are irrelevant, Admiral. When reality itself becomes a weapon, traditional military doctrine becomes obsolete. I am developing new paradigms based on probability manipulation and dimensional warfare." Ji-hoon felt a chill run down his spine. They'd created something far more powerful than they'd intended, and it was getting smarter every day. Unknown to the construction crews, they were being watched. Hidden among the asteroids of the belt, hegemony spy stations monitored every aspect of the inevitability's construction. The surveillance equipment was so advanced, it could detect individual conversations through the hull plating of the shipyard. War Marshal Kethran reviewed the latest intelligence reports with growing horror. His species, the Kalish, had conquered, 47 worlds through superior technology and ruthless tactics. But the humans were building something that made his entire fleet look like toys. "They're not just copying the ancient technology," his intelligence chief reported, his scaled face showing genuine fear. "They're improving it. Our analysts believe they've increased the quantum lock efficiency by over 300%. Kethran's claws scraped against his command throne. How is that possible? The Void War artifacts were created by the most advanced civilization in galactic history. Human neural patterns appear to be naturally compatible with quantum phase manipulation. They can control the technology with an intuitive understanding that even the original creators lacked." The War Marshal turned to study the tactical displays, showing the inevitabilities' projected capabilities. If the human ship could do half of what their models suggested, it could single-handedly destroy his entire armada without taking a scratch. The moment of truth came during the ship's first weapons test. Admiral Ji-hoon had chosen a small asteroid as the target, something that wouldn't be missed if things went wrong. The inevitability powered up its quantum-locked plasma cannons, reality itself seeming to bend around the massive vessel. "Firing solution locked," reported Weapons Officer Haewon Lee. "All systems showing green. Fire when ready," Ji-hoon commanded, his voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. The weapons fired, but there was no visible beam or projectile. Instead, the target asteroid simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed, not vaporized, but completely erased, as if it had never been there at all. The quantum sensors detected the erasure across 17 different dimensional phases simultaneously. In the hidden hegemony observation post, alarms screamed as sensors detected the impossible. The humans hadn't just built a weapon. They'd built something that could rewrite reality itself. War Marshal Kethran received the report within hours. As he read the data, his confidence in hegemony superiority crumbled. The humans had created something that shouldn't exist, and they were just getting started. Captain Jae-min Choi was reviewing the inevitabilities system diagnostics when the emergency transmission broke through. The massive warship had been on its maiden voyage for only 6 hours, conducting routine tests of its quantum-locked systems in deep space. The crew was still getting used to the ship's incredible capabilities when everything changed. "Captain, we're receiving a distress signal from New Busan Colony," Communications Officer Da-eun Kim reported, her voice tight with concern. "It's bad, sir, really bad." The main screen flickered to life, showing the agricultural world that had been humanity's pride and joy. New Busan was supposed to be a paradise, with rolling green fields and peaceful cities nestled between crystal-clear rivers. Instead, the feed showed burning cities and massive alien warships hanging in the sky like mechanical vultures. "This is Governor Tae-hyun Lee of New Busan Colony," came the desperate voice through the static. "We are under attack by unknown hostile forces. They're demanding our complete surrender and submission to something called the Galactic Council. Our defenses are overwhelmed. We have maybe an hour before they start targeting civilian centers." Jaemin's hands clenched into fists. New Busan was home to over 2 million people, mostly farmers and their families who had never hurt anyone. The colony didn't even have proper military defenses, just a few outdated patrol ships that were no match for whatever was attacking them. "Helm. Set course for New Busan maximum quantum drive," he ordered. "All hands to battle stations. This is not a drill." The inevitability turned with surprising grace for such a massive vessel. Its quantum engines hummed with power, bending space-time around the ship to achieve speeds that conventional physics said were impossible. What should have been a 3-day journey took less than 2 hours. As they dropped out of quantum space, near New Busan, the crew got their first look at the enemy. 7 massive dreadnoughts hung in orbit around the planet, each one easily twice the size of Earth's largest battleships. Their hulls were covered in angular armor plating that gleamed like black metal, and weapon ports bristled from every surface. "Those are hegemony warships," reported Intelligence Officer Subin Park, her face pale as she consulted her databases. "Kalish design, probably their Devastator class. Each one carries enough firepower to glass a planet." Through the communication channels, they could hear the alien demands being broadcast to the colony below. The voice was cold and mechanical, translated through universal language matrices. Humans of New Busan, you will surrender immediately and acknowledge the authority of the Galactic Council. Your species has violated interstellar law by developing prohibited weapons technology. Submit now or face complete extermination. Jaemin felt a rage building in his chest. These aliens had come to humanity's peaceful colony, threatened innocent families, and demanded surrender based on laws that humans had never agreed to follow. It was like a school bully demanding lunch money from a kindergartner. "Captain?" Tactical Officer So Young-han called out, "The lead hegemony ship is charging weapons. They're targeting the capital city." "Not today," Jaemin said quietly. Then, louder, "All stations, prepare for quantum lock engagement. This is what we built. This ship for." The inevitabilities. Quantum phase generators came online with a sound like reality itself humming. The crystalline cores throughout the ship pulsed with blue light, and the weapon systems began charging with power drawn from parallel dimensions. The ship's hull shimmered as it began existing in multiple quantum states simultaneously. So Young's fingers danced across her console with practiced precision. She'd trained for months on simulators, but this was different. This was real, and millions of lives hung in the balance. The quantum-locked plasma cannons swiveled to target the enemy fleet, their firing solutions calculated across 17 different dimensional phases. "Weapons locked and ready, Captain," she reported. "All systems showing optimal." "Fire," Jaemin commanded, his voice carrying the weight of humanity's first real test in galactic warfare. The weapons fired, but there was no dramatic light show or massive explosions. Instead, the quantum-locked beams struck the hegemony fleet across multiple realities simultaneously. The enemy ships didn't explode in balls of fire or break apart. Under massive impacts, they simply ceased to exist, as if they had never been built at all. One moment, 7 massive dreadnoughts were threatening New Busan colony. The next moment, there was only empty space where they had been. The quantum sensors detected the erasures across multiple dimensional phases, confirming that the ships hadn't just been destroyed in this reality, but had been removed from existence entirely. "My God," whispered Navigator Hyunwoo Choi, staring. "At the empty space where the enemy fleet had been, they're just gone, completely gone." The silence that followed was deafening. On New Busan below, the colonists emerged from their shelters to find clear skies where alien warships had been moments before. The planetary defense grid reported no hostile contacts, no debris fields, nothing but empty space. But the silence didn't last long. Within minutes, emergency transmissions began flooding subspace communication networks throughout the galaxy. The hegemony's other fleets had been monitoring the battle, and their reports sent shockwaves through every major military command. "Impossible," War Marshal Kethran snarled as he reviewed the sensor data. 7 Devastator-class dreadnoughts don't just disappear. Our ships are equipped with quantum-shielded hulls and reality anchors. His intelligence chief's scales had turned pale with fear. "Sir, according to our deep space sensors, the human ship didn't just destroy our fleet. It erased them from multiple dimensional phases simultaneously. They're not just gone from our reality. They're gone from every possible reality." Across the galaxy, alien military commanders struggled to understand what they were seeing. The humans possessed a single ship that could make entire fleets vanish without a trace. Traditional weapons, shields, and armor were useless against technology that attacked the very fabric of existence itself. On the hegemony homeworld, emergency sessions were called. On Zephyrian Council worlds, ancient elders who had lived through thousands of years of galactic peace suddenly found themselves facing a threat unlike anything they had ever encountered. The humans had a ghost ship that could rewrite reality itself, and they had just announced their presence to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible. The emergency session at Harmony Point was unlike anything the galaxy had seen in 3,000 years. The massive space station, built at the intersection of 12 major trade routes, normally hosted peaceful negotiations and cultural exchanges. Today, it buzzed with fear and anger as representatives from dozens of species gathered to address what they called the human threat. Elder Councillor Vextar's tentacles coiled nervously, as he addressed the assembly. Behind him, holographic displays showed the empty space where the hegemony fleet had been erased from existence. "Fellow beings," he began, his voice carrying harmonic frequencies that translated into dozens of languages simultaneously. "We face a crisis that threatens the very foundation of galactic civilization." In the Zephyrian section, Ambassador Krelvin's crystal-based body pulsed with agitated colors. "The humans have violated the most sacred laws of warfare. Void war technology was banned for good reason. It nearly destroyed the galaxy once before." The Kalish representative, General Morthak, slammed his scaled fist on the podium. "7 of our finest warships gone without a trace, not destroyed, not defeated, but erased from reality itself. This cannot be allowed to stand." Species after species voiced their outrage and fear. The insectoid hive queen Zethara's compound eyes glittered with concern as she spoke for her trillion-strong civilization. "Our quantum mathematicians have run the calculations. If the humans continue developing this technology, they could accidentally tear holes in space-time itself." But it was the arrival of the architects that silenced the assembly. These ancient beings rarely involved themselves in galactic politics, preferring to observe from their hidden worlds. When 3 of their floating crystalline forms entered the chamber, every other species fell silent. The lead architect spoke without moving, its thoughts projected directly into every mind present. "We have witnessed the rise and fall of 10,000 civilizations. We have seen the birth of stars and the death of galaxies. Never have we encountered a species that achieved void war capabilities so quickly, with so little understanding of the consequences." The ultimatum was drafted within hours and transmitted to Earth on all frequencies. The message was simple and terrifying: surrender the quantum technology and submit to galactic oversight, or face complete extermination by the largest military force ever assembled. On Earth, Admiral Ji-Hoon Kim stood before the emergency session of the Terran Senate in Geneva. The massive chamber was packed with representatives from every nation, their faces reflecting the same mixture of fear and determination that had carried humanity through its darkest hours. "Senators," Ji-Hoon began, his uniform crisp despite the sleepless nights he'd endured, "the situation is worse than our worst-case scenarios. They've assembled 57,000 warships from every major power in the galaxy. The fleet includes everything from hegemony dreadnoughts to architect world ships that are older than human civilization." President Yoon Ji-yoon felt the weight of 8 billion lives pressing down on her shoulders. She'd been elected to manage trade disputes and climate initiatives, not to decide the fate of the human species. "Admiral, what are our chances if we fight against conventional forces?" "The inevitability could probably handle their entire fleet. But we're not dealing with conventional forces anymore. The architects have brought reality manipulation technology that predates our solar system. If we use our quantum weapons at full power against that many ships, the cascade effect could destabilize local spacetime." Dr. Min-Soo Park, still exhausted from months of analyzing alien technology, provided the technical analysis that made everyone's blood run cold. "The quantum lock system draws power from parallel dimensions, fire it at maximum capacity, and we're essentially punching holes between realities. The energy release could create a cascade effect that spreads beyond our solar system." "How far beyond?" asked Senator Young-Soo Kim from the Korean delegation. Min-Soo's face was pale. "Conservative estimates suggest we could destabilize space-time across a 50-light-year radius. That's dozens of star systems, billions of lives. We might save humanity by becoming the destroyers of half the galaxy." In the Martian colonies, families huddled around communication screens, watching the debates on Earth. On Lunar Base, engineers worked frantically to develop additional quantum-locked ships, knowing they probably wouldn't have time to complete them. Throughout human space, military commanders prepared for a war they weren't sure they could win, without destroying everything they were trying to protect. The alien armada was already moving. Long-range sensors detected the massive fleet gathering. At the edge of human space, a collection of ships representing the accumulated military might of galactic civilization. Some vessels were kilometers long, bristling with weapons that could crack planets. Others were smaller but no less deadly, carrying technology that could manipulate gravity, time, and matter itself. War Marshal Kethran commanded the hegemony. Contingent, his ships arranged in perfect formation despite his personal fear of the quantum-locked human vessel. All units maintain formation. The humans have one ship. We have an armada. Even their reality-bending weapons have limits. But even as he spoke, he remembered the empty space where his dreadnoughts had been. 7 ships that had simply ceased to exist, as if they had never been built. What could one human ship do against 57,000? What could 57,000 ships do against a weapon that rewrote reality itself? President Yoon stood before the Senate as the final vote was tallied. The decision had been agonizing, with passionate arguments on both sides. Some senators wanted to surrender, believing that humanity could survive under alien rule and eventually win their freedom through diplomacy. Others demanded they fight, arguing that submission would mean the end of human independence forever. "The vote is final," she announced, her voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. "We will not surrender. We will not submit to alien rule. If they want our technology, they'll have to take it from us." As the alien armada continued its approach toward Earth, both sides prepared for a confrontation that would reshape the galaxy. The humans had one ship and the determination to remain free. The aliens had the largest fleet in galactic history and the desperation of species facing extinction. Neither side fully understood what they were about to unleash. The bridge of the inevitability was eerily quiet as Captain Jae-min Choi prepared for what might be humanity's final act. Through the massive viewscreen, the alien armada stretched across space like a metallic ocean, 57,000 warships arranged in perfect formations that spoke of military precision built over millennia of conquest. "Captain," Communications Officer Daeun Kim reported, her voice barely above a whisper, "Earth Command has issued the final order. All planetary defenses are powering down. They're making it look like we're surrendering." Jaemin nodded grimly. The plan was desperate, built on bluff and human audacity in equal measure. Behind him, Earth's massive orbital defense platforms went dark one by one, their weapon arrays shutting down in apparent defeat. To the alien fleet, it would look like humanity had finally accepted the inevitable. "Sir," Tactical Officer So Young-han said, checking her instruments, "the alien fleet is moving into final attack formation. They're not even trying to hide their contempt. Look at this." She routed the alien communications to the main screen. War Marshal Kethran's scaled face appeared, his yellow eyes gleaming with satisfaction. "Humans, your pathetic attempt at resistance is over. One ship against the might of galactic civilization? You insult us with this gesture." Behind Kethran, other alien commanders could be seen laughing and making dismissive gestures. The insectoid. Hive Queen Zethara's mandibles clicked in what passed for amusement among her species. "Perhaps we should keep their ship as a museum piece, to remind future species of the folly of challenging the Council." Jaemin felt anger boiling in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. "All stations, battle ready. Helm, take us toward the center of their formation." Nice and slow, like we're approaching for surrender, the inevitability glided forward through the void, its massive hull gleaming under the light of distant stars. To the alien observers, the human ship looked impressive, but ultimately insignificant against their overwhelming numbers. Some alien commanders were already discussing how to divide up human space once the surrender was complete. "Captain," Navigator Hyun-woo Choi reported, "we're now surrounded. The alien fleet has us completely encircled. Nearest enemy ships are less than 500 kilometers away." Perfect, Jaemin thought. The closer they were, the more dramatic this would be. He opened a communication channel to the entire alien fleet, knowing that thousands of species would be watching this moment. "This is Captain Jae-min Choi of the Terran defense ship Inevitability," he began, his voice carrying across subspace to every ship in the armada. "You came to our space, threatened our worlds, and demanded our surrender. You expected us to bow down because you have more ships, older technology, and ancient authority." War Marshal Kethran's image appeared on screen again, his expression smug. "Human, your surrender speech is unnecessary. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded." "You misunderstand," Jae-min replied calmly. "We're not here to surrender. We're here to demonstrate why you should surrender to us." Confused murmurs rippled through the alien fleet's communication channels. Admiral Kelthar of the Architects, his crystalline form floating in the command center of a ship older than Earth's moon, extended his consciousness to study the human vessel more closely. Something was wrong. The inevitability's quantum signature was fluctuating in ways that defied his ancient understanding. "Activate quantum lock at maximum dispersion," Jamin ordered quietly, his words barely audible on the bridge. So young. Han's finger hovered over the activation controls. She understood what they were about to do, and the magnitude of it made her hands tremble. "Sir, are you sure? We've never tested the system at this level." "Do it." The quantum phase generators throughout the inevitability came online simultaneously, drawing power from thousands of parallel dimensions. The ship's hull began to shimmer and phase, existing in multiple quantum states at the same time. Reality itself seemed to bend around the vessel as it achieved something that should have been impossible. To the alien fleet's sensors, the impossible was happening. Where one human ship had been moments before, now there appeared to be dozens, then hundreds, then thousands. Each quantum signature was identical, each ship equally real, each one capable of erasing matter from existence across multiple realities. "What sorcery is this?" breathed Admiral Kelthar, his ancient mind struggling to process what he was seeing. His species had mastered quantum mechanics when humanity was still discovering fire, yet here was technology that made their greatest achievements look primitive. The quantum multiplication effect continued spreading. Soon the alien sensors detected not thousands, but millions of inevitability ships, each one existing simultaneously across different probable realities. It was as if the humans had summoned an infinite fleet from the spaces between dimensions. Panic spread through the alien armada like wildfire. Ship commanders who had been confident in their overwhelming numbers suddenly found themselves facing what appeared to be omnipotence itself. The psychological impact was devastating. "It's impossible," War Marshal Kethran whispered, his scales turning pale as his tactical displays showed infinite human ships surrounding his fleet. How can one ship become infinite? The answer came from the inevitability's AI oracle, broadcasting on all frequencies. "We exist in all probable realities simultaneously. We are one ship and infinite ships. We are everywhere and nowhere. Your weapons cannot destroy what exists beyond your understanding of existence itself." One by one, alien species began powering down their weapons. The hegemony dreadnoughts, built to crack planets, went dark as their crews realized their most powerful weapons were useless against an enemy that existed outside conventional reality. The ancient architect world ships, older than human civilization, shut down their reality manipulation devices in acknowledgement of a superior technology. Admiral Kelthar was the first to formally surrender. His crystalline form pulsed with colors that spoke of both defeat and wonder. "Human captain," his thoughts projected across space, "in 10 million years of existence, we have never encountered a species that achieved quantum omnipresence. We yield to your superior understanding of reality itself." Within an hour, the surrender was complete. 57,000 warships representing the greatest military force in galactic history powered down their weapons and acknowledged human supremacy. Not a single shot had been fired, not a single life lost. As the formal surrender documents were transmitted to Earth, Captain Jamin Choi stood on his bridge and realized that humanity had crossed a threshold from which there was no return. They were no longer the galaxy's newest species, struggling to find their place among ancient civilizations. They had become the apex predators of known space, feared and respected in equal measure, masters of technology that rewrote the very laws of existence. The age of human dominance had begun, not through conquest, but through the simple demonstration that sometimes the impossible was just another engineering challenge waiting to be solved. The end is